Right, it is 6 o'clock on the dot here. So I'm gonna get started because today the floor is not mine. The floor is Jessica Hernandez. She's gonna give us a bite-sized workshop on how to supercharge your CSM career. I met Jessica probably 4 months ago, and I was like just so inspired by everything that she's been doing and she's still doing to get ahead in her career. That's when I asked her, I was like, we got to share this with everybody because this is amazing. The amount of work that this girl is putting in and day out, it's inspiring, but I also want everyone to see that, once you get the job, it doesn't end there, right? You have to continue to work on yourself, to invest, and even things that you don't think they're useful for you, they will be at some point somehow in your career. So she prepared this amazing presentation with a lot of like real data, real to life facts from her own journey, from her own search, and also all the courses that she did. So I'm excited because she's not just here to present you with bullet points, but she's also going to show you like how I did it and why I did it. She's going to give you the roadmap, and you can pick the things that you think it might work for you. It might not work. If you can take one thing out of this workshop that you can use it and you can take it with you for life, we're already happy. But that's enough about me and enough about the presentation. I want to hand the mic to Jessica. I want to make sure we have enough time to ask questions at the end. So take it away, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Priscilla, for the warm introduction. Hi, everyone. We haven't met. My name is Jessica Hernandez, and I joined Latinos in Success because of my really good friend, Carolyn, who founded the group for us while we were both in the job search around the same time earlier this year. And we've just been really good friends and connected. So this has brought me together with more Latinos in the community, not just in tech, but also people that are doing the same things that we're doing, and we have that in common. So it's been great, and I'm happy to be here. And so to start, I will begin the presentation to supercharge your CSM career. I will start off with an intro about myself, and of course, I will go through the agenda with you all, just so you have an overview of what we'll be speaking about today. And then if there's any time at the end, happy to take some questions. And I could also demo some of the things that I have prepared as well. So let's dive in, right? So for the agenda today, I will go into a brief introduction of my background, of my career trajectory, and then just some personal things about myself. And then I will dive into a piece about essential hard skills, not only for CSMs, but for technology professionals at large. And then we will dive into actual professional development resources that you all will have access to at the end. And then we'll briefly talk about creating an impactful resume. Now, we know that resumes are always debatable about what's the best format, but I will tell you what's worked for me and some of the tangible results that I've had. So going into about me, I'm currently a customer success and product delivery manager at Datavant. Datavant is an intermediary of between insurance companies and the largest healthcare providers in the nation, as well as with patients and in delivering patient data. So without getting into the weeds of what we actually do, because it can get really complicated, I work in the provider vertical, where I am in charge of all of the product implementations for providers. So just in short, our customers, which are the providers, the largest healthcare hospitals in the world, or excuse me, in the nation, they outsource their services to us to file claims on their behalf for all of their patients. And so what our product does is it will automate those processes. And we will get into the artificial intelligence piece about how that is a key skill for CSMs later. But I am actually doing the work to automate away a lot of processes that are making businesses inefficient. So it's been really exciting. Very different than what I've been doing in the past in customer success, where I've done a lot of account management, handling my own book of business, being very client facing. And now I get to take those skills and put on my CSM hat internally. And now I'm managing a book of internal stakeholders, which is all of the dedicated operations teams for all of the customers we have, and also just managing data engineers as well. There's a technical piece to my role. I have to have a lot of product knowledge. And so it's been a wild ride from being completely client facing and worrying about renewals and doing QBRs. And now I'm doing a complete opposite of what a traditional CSM would do, but there's still a CSM piece because I still have to explain the product. I still have to talk to our customers on a day-to-day when it comes to technical requirements that are required to implement the product. And so going down the list here, over the past 4 years, I've collected a bunch of skill sets across different functions. Each of my certifications actually could be a job in itself, like a Salesforce administrator, a ProSci change manager. You can be a change manager with that certification, as well as the Google Data Analytics certification as well. If I wanted to, that could totally be a path that if I wanted to embark on that and my career didn't work out what I'm doing now, I know that I'm confident to be a data analyst if I needed to. And I did all of this during the pandemic because I didn't get into tech till 2020. And so this is where I really had to think hard about how I needed to upskill myself and get through all the layoffs. And to be frank and honest, everyone, I've been laid off 3 times since 2021. So I know firsthand what it's like to be on the job search and submitting thousands and thousands of applications and getting rejections at 11 o'clock at night, being in a job for only 10 weeks and then getting let go after that. So I've been through it all, and I resonate with everybody that's on the job search now in this difficult job market, I would say. And so my time here is really to provide you all some hope. And also, if you are happy in your role and you're currently in a customer success role, how you can position yourself to elevate, not only climb the corporate ladder, to position yourself and be competitive against global candidates across the world that want to come to America, or the largest tech companies that are across the world, where you can compete against the global competition, not just here in the United States. And I know we're all scattered across the world in South America, Central America, and even the US, but it's important to know some of the trends that we're seeing in the industry. And then aside from all the work stuff, in my free time, I do write on Medium, and I talk about astrology, numerology, things of that nature. I've been studying it since I was 14 years old. And then I also provide a lot of clean beauty and hygiene hacks for busy professional women specifically. So you'll see a mix of that on my Medium blog. I actually haven't written since last month, but it's been busy. However, if you want to follow that, feel free. It's linked at the end of the presentation. And then last but not least, I am a proud bonus mom to my 11-year-old daughter. It's been great. And I really, that's one of my favorite things about being a mom, is just seeing her grow and develop in this new world that we're living in now with all the crazy technology that's unleashing. All right, so let's get into the good stuff, okay? So based on the research here for some of the hard skills that I've found based on research that I've done and just being in the job market. I actually was just in the job market earlier this year before I got my role in Datavant. And I realized that out of everything that they're really focused on outside of being revenue focused, et cetera, we're really focused on the technical product knowledge of it all. And that's the first skill that I would like to elaborate on. We don't need to be technical experts as CSMs, as you know. Even in my current role, I don't need to know how a database management system works from beginning to end, nor do I need to know how to be a cloud practitioner. However, I need to know how to communicate with the data engineers on my team who are helping me push along projects. I need to be able to speak to IT stakeholders when we're having those pre-implementation calls. And I need to be able to communicate it in a way where it's simple, straightforward, but where the customer also has confidence in what I'm saying. And so that, I would say, would be the number one thing that all CSMs or even tech professionals in general that are in this space really need to understand the product that they are in charge of when it comes to, the second thing that I would say is data integration, analytics, and reporting. This is huge. Data is the most important thing when it comes to at-risk accounts. As you know, when renewal season's coming up, or you're doing QBRs, you're looking at adoption, you're looking at shelfware, you're looking at all of the things that the customer is doing at a 360 view. And in order for you to make evidence-based decisions when you are having these renewal conversations, or if you want to expand on an account, you need to learn how to look through the data, sift through the data, and actually communicate that in a way where you're giving strategic insights to help the customer become successful and to make them come back. So I would say that would be the second thing. And the third thing is project management. And so while CSMs and folks that are traditionally in customer success roles, we're not project managers, we're not identifying the scope of a project and managing budget, but we are managing people. We are managing internal stakeholders, we are managing communication. And then also, that's not to say all the other things that as CSMs we like to pick up internally, where we want to help our teams automate more processes. We want to make QBRs more efficient. We want to enable our fellow teammates to do their job better. And so all of that combined comes down to time management and project management. So if you're able to have good workflow, keep yourself organized and sane, most importantly, because you're putting out fires, as they say, or you have a lot of priorities that are coming at you every single day, and no day is the same, as we all know. You want to make sure that you hone in your project management and keep yourself organized. Make it fun. There's all sorts of ways in which you can keep yourself organized. One of my favorite things is color coding my Gmail inbox or creating folders for each customer. Those are some of the things that keep me accountable and also more sane. And then the last thing I would say that's super important is generative AI, understanding how it works, how companies are using it today, how customer success teams are using it today. And so I have a couple of data points that I'd like to share with you. So from Gainsight's State of AI Customer Success Report, surveyed 175 companies across the globe and interviewed folks about what is AI doing for their companies and how are they adopting it to make their processes better. And so some of the data points, and when you guys get the public link for this presentation that Priscilla will send over to you all in Slack or email, you'll be able to click into all of these links and actually read some of this. I found it pretty interesting, but one of them that I found very interesting and was a really good takeaway was 52% of CS teams are using AI today, meaning only half of the professionals that they interviewed are actually utilizing the power of AI in their products, on their teams, et cetera. So there's still a lot of growth for folks like us to enable ourselves to understand generative AI, to bring those tools into our teams, to really take initiative and think about ways in which we can use AI in not only serving customers, but internally for ourselves and how we can improve our processes. And then the other thing that stood out to me was 73% of respondents said AI will be the most helpful to identify at-risk customers. That's huge. And a lot of companies, as you can see from the previous data point, they're not even using the full power of AI, even past 50% at this point. So as you can see from this data point, people are really taking into account when they're asked the question how generative AI could improve their relationships with customers. It would be identifying those at-risk customers that you're seeing that are struggling, finding success on the platform, or they're not completely adopting all the features. These are important things to think about, especially when serving customers and positioning yourself in a way where you'll have that industry knowledge outside of your day-to-day from what your company is giving you. So this last piece here, and when I say, just to wrap this slide up, is this is from Churn Zero's blog for Customer Success Operations 101. This is what a typical customer success organization should look like as you scale. You have a chief customer officer, and then you have these 4 verticals across the way that make up customer success. And when I was at Salesforce, this is how it was set up. We didn't have a chief customer officer per se, but we had all these different departments. And so when I talk about the 4 skills that from the slide here, there are a myriad of different ways in which you can supercharge your CSM career across the board. You can go to implementation roles. You can be a project manager role. You can do training and education for customers and professional services. On the other front, you can get involved on the back end and not be so client facing and go into a client experience team, the data analytics and systems team. Those are all possibilities just from being a CSM and having that knowledge and doing what you're doing today. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself to just being a CSM. There's so many other pathways that you can take, not only in customer success, but at large across the board. So the next slide here is going to talk about some of the professional development resources that I've used, that I plan to use, and some recommendations from colleagues in the industry that are promoting this type of content. So the first one would be Trailhead. So being that I was an avid Salesforce user prior to me being employed by Salesforce, I was already in Trailhead, going through all the different modules, trying to understand the platform. A lot of CSMs use Sales Cloud, which is where you see all the opportunities and the renewals, and all of the data lives there about the customers. So this is a really great tool, and there's so much to go through here, but if we go to my profile, say, it's not just about Salesforce. There's a ton of actual business use case modules that you can go down and educate yourself that is for free. I was talking to Priscilla the other day, and I was sharing this with her, that there's a module about Web3 and Web3 terminology that not a lot of people know about today, but there's a Trailhead course that you can go down and get your points for your Trailhead profile and add it to your Salesforce resume, because this is actually a LinkedIn, but for the Salesforce ecosystem. If you decide to embark on Salesforce certifications, they will all appear here. You can put your LinkedIn, you'll have a unique Trailhead profile URL, etc. And so these are just really great tools here that not only teach you about the Salesforce ecosystem, but also just about different things that you want to learn about. Like, as you can see, I took this NFT module here, and it was 10 minutes, but I learned about some NFTs. I say that because it's the most on-trend thing in Web3 that everybody knows about. But there's a ton of things on here outside of Salesforce stuff that you can learn, and it's for free. And I encourage all of you to utilize this resource. And the last thing I'll say about this resource is there's a bunch of careers within itself of whether you're a Salesforce administrator, an architect, or a developer, a sales professional. There's a ton of certifications as you go through each persona that you can just achieve and get. And you have that in your back pocket, because a lot of tech companies use Salesforce. I know that it's not the only one. A lot of folks use HubSpot, and there's a smaller CRM companies that companies use today, or even customer success platforms like Gainsight and ChurnZero. But this is just something to think about. And then the other thing that I'd like to share is the ProSci Change Management course. Now, this is more of a soft skill that was not part of the hard skill slide that I was sharing. This was very much encouraged in my first corporate CSM role at Salesforce. And what it does is it helps you navigate change with customers and helping them help their employees adopt the product that you're selling or that you're representing as a CSM. And so if your company sponsors you for any type of additional education, I would encourage you to take the advantage and possibly get a ProSci Change Management certification. I think it's very helpful. It not only helps you with work, but it can also help manage change in your personal life. The course comes with a bunch of books and real life use cases in which change management can be a really great skill set to have when not only speaking with customers, but also for your own personal gain as well. The last thing that I'd like to share is the project management piece, and just another strategy that you could go down for promoting yourself at work and just as an overall tech professional in general. So the project management course here, if you're already doing the work as a CSM, you're already doing a lot of internal projects, you're taking on those extra duties, you might as well go get a project management certification. Here are all of the requirements on the website. Everything's linked on the slide, and you can go through it on your own time. But fun fact, the change management certification actually counts towards the project management education training hours that are required to sit for the exam. So that's also something to think about when you're wanting to do both. I actually have a colleague who's a CSM at a large tech company, and she has a PMP and her ProSci certified change management certification, and she's a CSM traditionally. So her name is Shirley Pierre. If you want to search her on LinkedIn, she's really active in the customer success community herself. So she's great, and she did both. And then the last thing I want to share is the act of promoting oneself. So this was pushed largely when I got to corporate CSM role at Salesforce. They were really big on self-promotion. And I share this with you because you can actually do this on Canva and have a public link and put it in your LinkedIn. You could do this for yourself. A lot of people do this now, I've noticed. And this was a trend even last year and the year before. And just creating a slide deck and a timeline of all the things that you're doing for when you're in your job search, this could actually be a really good additional job application piece. You know, the part where they say any additional files you'd like to add, you can share this with them. And this is old, this is not current at all, but this is something that I was sharing with my manager internally to get my pay raise and to get a promotion. I did get, before the layoffs at Salesforce, they did give me a little pay bump. So I will say that me documenting all of my accomplishments here and things that I was doing, even posting your colleague feedback from Slack, I should have had screenshots for my future job search. But if you get your screenshots, get your receipts, it's super important that you document all of the praise that you're getting at work, because that's only going to help you self-promote yourself come time to interview reviews, when you want that pay raise, and when you want to laterally move even to another role. This is your reputation on paper. So that's just something to think about. And so if I can just get back here. And so these are just the few other courses. Now, when Priscilla shares the public link to the Canva presentation for you, you're going to have to right click and open the link in the new tab, and that will take you directly to the course. And so I actually have the courses open already. Here's AI for everyone, generative AI for prompt engineering, and the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate. I'm actually a big proponent of this one because when I was working in my second CSM role, I had a NoSQL. I actually had to write SQL scripts to extract data for QBRs and renewal conversations and put them in a data visualization and present it to the customer. And you had to work with raw data, you had to clean the data. And this is a really good course if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of data analytics. They even teach you a little bit of R programming, which is more advanced data analytics. But if you want to take a stab at it, it's a great course. I did it in 2021, and a lot of peers in the CSM world have actually taken this as well. So it's very helpful. It's super informative, and you can go at your own pace. So all of that is linked here for you to dive into a little bit more and to understand what AI does. And then going into the next thing, so resume optimization. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of debate about what makes a good resume. The ATS systems, you hear about copy all the keywords and put it together in your resume and just embed them in white font and all this crazy stuff, right? But the true thing is you need to consolidate the information in a way that is going to get you in front of the recruiter and past the application system. End of story. It's that simple. And being that I was just in the job market last year and even earlier today, these are a couple of the hitbacks that I got from cold applications, no referrals or anything, based on my resume format and the things that I put on my resume that got me these phone calls or these emails. Fortunately, when I was at DataBound already, Microsoft reached out, so I had to politely decline. But it would have been nice if they reached out to me before, when I was 10 months on the job search. But this is just some tangible results that I've had, and I'm going to get into the example of my resume here. I actually had it pulled up, but I already have Teal pulled up, so why not? So Teal is a free tool that you can use, and I'm not a Teal ambassador or everybody. I just use this. I'm huge on utilizing tools to make my life easier. Believe it or not, I used to track all my job search applications in a spreadsheet. This makes your life way more sane. So I'll just pull up my resume here. So this is the resume that I created within Teal. And one thing that I would like to share with everybody about an effective resume is having this summary at the top. This is just so important. Having a strong statement conveying all of your experience and your strengths in one bullet point. And then the next two bullet points, you should have your most recent successes from your last two roles. So as you can see, I put my Datavant success from my last quarter already. So as you know, I'm keeping my resume updated. You just never know. You always got to stay prepared. And then the second one is from Salesforce, and that's what I put in as my last success there. And then another thing is I put my technical skills and my business tool knowledge right there. So when the recruiter sees my resume, they know what technical skills I have and they know what business tools I have. I think it's very important you put that at the top. And then you have a skill section right above your experience that talks about all of the keywords or buzzwords that are common in the industry, but also your real strengths. You'd want to put that straight at the top. And then you want to go into your experience. Last thing I'll mention here, some people are not a fan of putting the months in the year. Because a lot of Workday applications were sent out, I figured, hey, I need to put the months in the year. As you know, Workday is so difficult to work with sometimes when it imports your data. So for the purpose of my job search, I'd rather have the months and the years, but feel free to only put years so that people don't make assumptions about your job movement or anything like that. I found that's been effective. Less questions are asked. And then the last thing here, I put my certifications at the bottom and my education at the bottom. Most of us are not recent grads, so that doesn't need to be at the top. And you definitely don't need to put your graduation year. Unfortunately, there is such a thing as age bias. And so if you eliminate those years off your LinkedIn profile, as well as your education, that will be very helpful and have a better chance at having an equal opportunity to interview and speak with the recruiter. And so I would say those are my top resume optimization. I will say that this is embedded for you when you get the presentation at the end to sign up for a teal. It's all in there. Everything is clickable and you'll be able to open the link. And so in the spirit of Hispanic Heritage Month, Frida Kahlo is one of my favorite artists since I was 9 years old. I actually visited her house in Mexico City when I was younger. It's been a while. I'm 32 now, so it's been a long time. But this quote really spoke to me. At the end of the day, we can endure much more than we think we can. So a lot of us are in the job market, have been laid off, or some of us want to find something better than what we're doing now. And just know that things will be okay and you're much stronger than you think. And I don't want to be cliche, but if you keep going and you have perseverance and you keep your mindset strong, you'll have some down days, but you'll make it through. And just keep that in mind as you're going through everything. This is how to connect with me. My LinkedIn profile's here. You can email me if you have any questions about some of the things that we went over today. And also, if you'd like to follow me on my Medium blog, I'd love to stay connected there. If you have a Medium account, I'll follow you back. And that's it. Thank you so much, everybody.
Isn't she amazing? I told you all. I was so impressed when I talked to her. I was like, my God, you got to share this with everybody. I don't know if you have time for questions, Jessica. You let me know.
Yes, I have some time.
Okay. So take advantage. She's here.
And if there's no questions, I'm happy to demo Teal live for you guys. So I can show you how to install the Google plugin and how to add jobs to your tracker. If you prefer that as well, that would be an extra bonus if you'd like.
I have a question. Just as I'm like seeing all of this that you did, when did it hit, or when did you think I need to do more, or I need to become more technical? What happened? Like, did something happen, or did somebody tell? Like, what happened?
It was a mixture of things, honestly. In 2020, I had moved from Los Angeles to Tampa, Florida. I was in my client service job at a wealth management firm, and I obviously couldn't work remote because it's a highly regulated environment, but I still stayed on for that extra month. So as I was staying on extra while I was in Florida working remotely for the firm, I started looking for jobs on LinkedIn at the time, and there was a ton of roles out there that could be transferable. Because in my mind at that time, before career strategy became a focus for me, I knew that when I was reading the job descriptions for customer success roles, I knew that I could transfer my client service, client facing retail experience to customer success. It's all transferable. However, I did start to notice when I got into those roles, specifically in 2020, how Salesforce was a big tool that a lot of companies used. And there was a lot of operational inefficiencies when I got into my first customer success role. And I said, hey, I need to start studying up on how to become a Salesforce admin. That was the first, because the operations director gave me Salesforce admin access. And I'm like, what the heck? I don't even know how to use this. And he started showing me how to automate processes. Okay, see you later, Susanna. And he taught me how to do process builders and how to make workflows for our team. And so I really got excited about that. And I said, you know what? I can expand on this. I went down a rabbit hole. I started learning about Coursera. I started looking at industry trends about data analytics. At that point, blockchain and Web3 was really big in 2021. So I said to myself, I need to get into it. I need to start because there's a lot of people out there that are upskilling and there's a lot of jobs available, but they're not going to be here for long. And as you can see, 2022 was a bloodbath. 2023 was a bloodbath. So all of that just helped me prepare for all the ebbs and flows of this job market. So that's my long story short. And the key highlighted moment is my first customer success job and when I actually got into it.
But as a customer success manager, like I'm thinking of my role today. I have a BizOps teams that build any reports or anything I need, right? I'm thinking about like how my manager wants me to prioritize my time. I'm like just thinking, trying to compare how do you see like the relationship of your CSM role, like at the same time building dashboards and reports for your own purposes, right?
So if I heard correctly, it's how do you manage all of that as your role is progressing and evolving? It all comes down to personally organizing yourself. It's a mentality. You have to be organized up here and understanding that we're not solving world hunger. That's another thing is, making it fun. Like I mentioned my small example of color coordinating my email inbox. That is huge. Make it your own. If you're really big into organization, like I would assume that skill set is across the board. We all love being organized and just making sure everything is in order because we have to manage a book of business and things of that nature. So I would say just get in that mindset of organizing it like you would organize your life. And if you can transition both, you'll be successful.
And a little bit on that front, related to the certifications that you showed and the resources, did you find those useful, the external facing side with job applications and also with your day-to-day? Just wondering, like investment wise, if there's one over the other or where to start.
Yes, that's a really great question. So I would first take a inventory check of the skill sets that you're using today for your teams. So specifically, I'll use my example. When I worked at JobWell as a client success specialist, we had to work heavily in PostgreSQL, which is a relational database management system. And we had to know how to run queries in there and manipulate the scripts. So I said to myself, I need to expand on this knowledge because learning on the job is one thing, but to actually get that traditional education is quite another. Because you can learn at your own pace. You're not pressured by work to manage all of the customer inquiries, plus your day-to-day workflow, et cetera. So I would start there. The second thing is also, what are you interested in? Where do you see your career going? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself because that's how you'll be able to expand out of your role and then also look for opportunities that are out there because you are not tied down to a job for 30 years anymore. You have the will and freedom. If you do 1 to 2 years at a company and you say, I've maxed out my skill set here, you can look and see what's out there on the market today. You can just do a quick job search on LinkedIn and see what skills and trends that you're saying. And if you say, hey, that's something I'm interested in, I want to be a project manager, or I'm interested in change management, or I'm interested in being in specifically business operations, and start learning some of the tools that you're seeing across the board in the industry that are being used today, not only in customer success, but across the tech industry at large.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name's Nancy Rea, and I'm a manager of customer success at a small company where we have like a safety app. And so I really love processes and change management. And so, because this is my first role in CS, it's probably like you said, I should probably just be looking at like the different roles that are out there and the descriptions and see what they're looking for. But just in your experience, like if, for example, I wanted to transition more to like a CS ops role, or I don't know what the possibilities would be with change management. The only things I've seen before that kind of like concern me, just because I don't personally have the experience, are with CS ops roles. It did seem like more you needed to have like the Salesforce admin, piece, which I don't have, but I could get now that I have your nice resources. But what other things like have you seen in those types of roles that would be good for me if I wanted to pursue like CS ops that you think would be helpful in addition to something like that and maybe data analytics?
Sure. So there's a ton of roles out there, like organizational change management consultants. There's specific contract roles, even for like utility companies that are looking for change managers, the big thing is they're looking for folks that actually have a certification in change management. So the first step is to get educated on change management methodologies, and ADKAR is a really big one that's used across a lot of Fortune 500 companies. And if you have that ADKAR ProSci change methodology in your toolkit and you understand how it works, you'll be able to speak to that not only in job interviews, but also you can start implementing it as a manager today. You can roll out a whole change management initiative today as a manager, and you can speak to that and document your success from beginning to end, because you'll want to incorporate a project manager to help you roll that change management initiative out, which in my mind, the first thing that I would think about is my experience when I hopped on a change management initiative at Salesforce, and I was working with the VP of client success, and we needed to educate our fellow CSMs about the new products and analytics that we're going to start incorporating into our workflow, looking at early warning system analytics, looking at net adoption metrics and things of that nature, the propensity to buy of a customer. Those were all metrics that we were rolling out, and customer success managers had no idea how to use that. Going back to your question, you could think about ways in how you can improve your team and implement a change management strategy today, and then talk about that and then get the certification to match. I think that would be the best way to go to get it going.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm like, every time I hear you speak, I just like, I just get so happy because you were amazing. You're such an example and role model of like what we can do, right? Like when we start at the bottom and we have to push and push hard and not taking a no for an answer. So I just appreciate everything you've been doing for the community, for us, the time you took today, the presentation you built. I know you worked very hard. And she has many, many other skills that you guys don't know yet, but I'm just like grateful that I get to know you. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Priscilla. I'm honored to be here and sharing the knowledge with everybody. And we're all learning. I'm still learning. I don't know everything. So as long as we can share the knowledge amongst each other, the better way that we're going to be able to move forward and be successful. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great Friday.